Is the new Elantra N a get it or skip it vehicle? We're showcasing the 2025 Hyundai Elantra N in cyber gray over black and black. Last year we got reinforced engine bushings, new steering components, and rear suspension bushings. This year it's bringing the performance with a 0 to 60 around 5 to under 5 seconds and a price under 40 grand. But is this enough reasons to get it or skip it? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and we're going to compare this against the competition. I'm going to throw in some pros and cons to reveal which way you should go if you are searching for a performance sedan. Starting off with full LED headlights and daytime runnings, the front is going to be unique to the N, so the bumpers are going to look more performance. You get the pinstripe, and it still captures 5.5 inches. And when you're considering a sports car that's a family car and it's a sedan all blended in, that's not normally the case. Usually it's going to be lower to the ground, especially when you're comparing it against vehicles like Volkswagen and the Civic. Now, when you go into the Civic, the SI is more priced towards this, but when you option it with the DCT 8-speed automatic transmission, it will upgrade the price to nearly 40 grand. If you go into the standard 6-speed manual, you'll be around 33 to 34 grand. But what makes this a lot more unique is because of the segment that it's in. Because with the performance that's underneath this 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged that's packing 276 horsepower, it brings class-leading numbers against vehicles like the Civic Type R, the Golf R, and going even further, because you could almost compete against a BMW M340i. You're only a few tenths of a second slower, and you're saving a ton of dough. With 289 pound-feet of torque, it's paired to the 6-speed manual, but today we're showcasing the 8-speed DCT wet dual-clutch automatic transmission. It's still achieving 20 MPGs for the city, 27 MPGs for the highway. So it's going to sip fuel, and if you can't drive a manual, you have this option. Going against Acura, that's not going to be the case. That's one of the reasons why I would get it. Getting 19-inch wheels, this was updated last year. Red brake calipers with the N badging. That's a 4-piston in the front, a single floating caliper in the rear, and that disc, 14.2 inches, it's vented. The rear, 12.4 inches, it's vented. So when you're putting this into content, a vehicle that's at this price, it's hard to say skip it because you're getting such a value. The N is going to go on the lower trim with the red pinstripe, and that wraps all the way into the rear diffuser. Glossy black is going to be on the side window trims and on the side view mirror. You still get blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, and when you get the DCT, you'll have a moonroof with the gloss black for the shark fin antenna. Hyundai doesn't stop there because it has an electronically controlled suspension with the multi-link independent rear suspension, in-grain control system, that's your driver mode select, the in-grain shift, and the in-power shifts. With a rack-mounted motor-driven power steering and a rear chassis brace. Going back against competition, you're not going to get what you capture with Hyundai at this price. If you go GR Corolla, you're going to be spending at least $2,000 more with this being an 8-speed DCT. With it being the 6-speed manual, you're going to have a ton of savings. And when you go against any competition, I mean, 0.1 second plus or minus is basically where this is going to fit in. So the savings, it just doesn't make sense to go to the competitors. But a reason why I would skip it is it's only a front-wheel drive configuration. And adding the DCT is going to add about 110 pounds to the curb weight, so it's around 3,300 pounds, where it would be under 3,200 pounds. The rear gets the large bore dual exhaust outlets with the sport exhaust system, and that's a variable valve positions. LED taillights that get the H design with the large wing on top of the trunk. The color palette that we're showcasing, I think, makes it look a lot more sporty because you got the glossy black, the pinstripe red on the lower, and when you put all these performance numbers, you're getting great MPGs, and it's still somewhat of a family sedan. I mean, these are all reasons why I would get it, but let us know in the comments if you would get it or skip it, comparing this against the competition. Quick release, going into 14.2 cubic feet of storage. You get a little cargo net right here. If I can open it up, and it also clips so it holds things in. So I like that they put those two little clips. The in badging for the floor mats underneath the floor gets some storage, and to fold down the back bench, pull the 2 tabs right here. And that will help maximize cargo capacity to the Elantra N. But we need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. 2025 to the Elantra N. 6-way manual seat adjustment for the driver, 4-way for the passenger. These are in sport bucket seats. They're lighter weight. Kind of look like a BMW seat the way they do it. The N illuminates, leather wrapped on the side, Alcantara interior. Huge value there with the contrast stitch. It's heated for the front seats. 8 speakers through Bose. There's the tweeter there. A driver focus setup. And you still have plenty of room for the passenger. I'm just not a huge fan of the wall, but at least we get a grab handle here. And you can run your cords if you need to for the USB 12-volt wireless charging pad. This is all standard. Let's fire it up. Now with the Elantra N, you get a lot of standard features like dual climate control settings, a navigation system. You still have physical buttons right here. Put it into reverse, you get a reverse camera. The trajectory will expand depending on which way you go. You get the front and rear parking sensors right here. Click this sub menu. Now you can chauffeur a tow, which I don't think you're going to tow in this, and you can show a little bit more of a wider angle. But I like that you still have the physical buttons here, and it's pretty easy more or less to use everything. It's a 10.25 system. You have a quiet mode, Hyundai Pay, valet mode, in mode, which this is all specific for the N. Click onto it. This is going to show you everything that's going on with the vehicle. You can swipe over. Now you can configure this as custom 1 or 2 for your steering, your suspension, transmission, ELSD, ESC, and your exhaust sound, so you can make it as quiet as possible. You can turn or activate the launch control. It has the G-force. Now this is the cool thing too, because you have a performance option. When you go into the launch control, you can change it where you go for your RPM. You have your shift light. This will change the lighting whenever you are redlining. It'll change the actual look of the gauge configuration, making it more sporty. You also have an alarm that you could set here. The in power shift, this is only available on the sport mode, and it's going to change the feel of the shift response. The in track sense shift, this is available on sport and sport plus. This will change the dynamic driving of the vehicle. The automatic creep off. Now this, it's a dual clutch automatic transmission, and it's a wet dual clutch automatic transmission. So if you let off the brake, it will roll either forward or backwards depending on the incline, or if it's uphill or downhill. You can also have the active sound design, which you can make it sound a little bit louder in the cabin. So these are unique things that are only on the N for the Elantra. Also a 10.25, which is the same. This is in specific, so you'll have your own in gauges. The only way you can get this is through here, or you can just simply go back. Now, if you want to change the configuration of the layout, just like all Hyundais, you have to go into setup. Then you click screen layout, and then on the cluster, and now you can just change it right here, so you can have the different layout here, which is the same exact way as all of the Elantras. Leather around the DCT, and I like that we get the in badging. You can click the driving mode select right here on the fly, and you'll hear the engine exhaust note tick up. Glossy black around here. This is pushed back, opens up into a smaller storage pocket. 3-spoke in-spec steering wheel. It's perforated on the side. You get that contrast stitching back. You get the 2 in, which changes the driving dynamics, and the NGS, which will give you the boost for 20 seconds. Matte black for the badging and the paddle shifts. They're plastic, so that's definitely a con to me. You're gonna have the soft materials that come into play, and I like that they have this pattern design here. Leg space is gonna be more than enough with the sport pedals. Headroom. And when you go DCT, you get a moonroof. No LED interior lights. Door panel and dash configured together nicely, and it keeps the same pattern as all the Elantras. One touch up and down just for the driver window. That's to be expected, with a long storage pocket. For the back seat, this is the opening that you have. The door card is going to have a different styling. You'll have the soft materials, but you don't have that contrast stitch or that pattern here. It's going to be more firm materials everywhere. You could fit a smartphone here on the grab handle, and you got a cup or beverage holder. This is a solid bench, so no 40-20-40 split or 60-40 split, no armrests. You get 2 USB-C ports, no storage behind any of the front seats. And sitting behind me, look how much room you got. A ton. And headroom, the same thing. They do a good job carving it out. If you sit back more, you'll have to scoot down, which will still give you plenty of leg space. Sliding into the center, the floor is not completely flat, but you have a sufficient amount of feet, butt, leg, and shoulder space. They really do a good job carving everything out with the Elantra. Same thing with headroom. I'm at 6'3", and check out the knee space here. And you're not really blocking any of the USB ports because you could just run the cables in front or behind my legs. 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque with about 2-lane turn radius. Let's rock and roll. You get the exhaust note that filters in. But because it's a noisy cabin, you don't hear it as much. But whenever it does filter in, it gives you that excitement. DCT, automatic transmission, I like that. It's gonna take me right away into some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is the value that you're capturing. Definitely a reason why I would get it. I mean, standard amenities alone blows me away because when you go into the Golf, when you go into the Civic, when you go into Toyota, you're gonna pay a lot more money to get something that's right at the same 0 to 60. I mean, a few tenths of a second plus or minus, it's not a huge difference really. And this goes even a step further because like I was saying on the exterior, I know it doesn't compete against a BMW, but the fact that they're doing this BMW stylish seating, they're doing all this work to the suspension, they tweaked all those things last year that we talked about on the exterior, they've just made this a very fun vehicle. So much so that I was able to keep up with that older Corvette. That shows you what you're getting. Now, obviously, that's what happens with a few tenths of a second to maybe a second or so slower because this is still around the 5-second margin, quarter mile in the low 13 seconds, which is amazing because you don't capture that in a near or under 40 grand vehicle, which are all reasons why I would get it. Some cons is the driver focus setup. I do like it, but in the same category, it's just not so fun if you are looking for an option of a family vehicle and you want kind of that sport feel. It's going to be more sport driven. The suspension, it's not too bad on the firmness, so it is okay with that. The seat cushion is good. The steering is light. I wish it was a little bit tighter. You don't feel a lot of response in it, so if you do have any kind of problems with your wheels, you'll probably not notice until it says it onto the tire pressure monitor system. Front wheel drive configuration is kind of the big problem with this vehicle, but in the same category, optioning the DCT, you add about 110 pound curb weight to it, so it's not as tire happy. So the performance highlights have been updated in that category with the engine mounts, also the rear suspension bushing and the steering components. You don't sit low to the ground, so that's definitely a pro. The back seat, some cons, you don't get any air vents in the center. The air does circulate, but you have to have it on more of a medium fan speed, especially when it's around 100 degrees in the state of Florida. You don't have any armrests, 8 speakers through Bose. It's okay, but it's a large cabin, so I would like to have a little bit more sound pumping into the interior. I like how you can adjust the exhaust sound into the interior. Just give me a real exhaust. Don't filter it through the speakers. No auto dimming rear view mirror, only a manual, and the only way you can get the moonroof is optioning the DCT. So if you want the more playful variant, it's gonna be a little bit more slow than this, and you're gonna lose that moonroof. But the styling, it definitely sets itself out of class. It's hard to say that this is not a win vehicle. And don't forget we got the NGS, which gives us 20 seconds of boost. And another 10 horsepower, maxing this thing to the complete capacity. These are all reasons why I would get it, but let us know in the comments if you would get it or skip it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram, and check out this next video right here. And I'd like to thank our friends here at Gettle Hyundai of Lakewood for giving us this 2025 Hyundai Elantra N.